Hello, welcome back to another Friday night with Let's Talk Benchrest with Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies. Tonight we're going to talk about 22 long rifle barrels. Whether it be rebarreling your rifle or building a custom rifle, we're going to go through some things that you look for building a rifle, and there's a lot of things to be considered when you're choosing a rifle barrel, and we're going to cover a lot of that. We got the guys in the backstage in the panel. We'll bring them out one at a time and introduce them to you. Um, there's a lot of knowledge back here, so we're going to bring them out one at a time and introduce them, and we'll get this show rolling. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I appreciate everybody that's already interacting in the side chat. And please feel free to comment on any one of these bullet points or topics that we come up with. That's part of this is we want to learn from everybody, and that's including the side chat. So please interact. But first up, I want to introduce Rimfire Dave. How are you, buddy?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing wonderful.
All right. So next up, we've got
I don't have
Justin.
volume.
You can't hear me? Justin Lowe. How's your week been, buddy?
Being good. Glad to be here tonight. Hopefully, learn something about
It's
barrels.
working.
All right. Yeah, me too. There's a lot of information out here. I've been kind of
Talking to them.
trying to put this together and look at it, and there's a whole lot when it comes to picking out a barrel. And
yeah.
guys, we would cover center fire and rim fire, but we'd be here all night. We'd be here all night. So we're just going to stick to rim fire tonight. Maybe center fire will be a later date. So, all right, up next, Hasbro. How you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
guys.
How's your week been?
Uh, Tough at work, raining like crazy, flooded everywhere. But I'm glad to be here tonight. We got some fun stuff to talk about. So,
Yeah, we do. Justin Hasbro's got a question for you over in the side chat. He wants to know what the number code is on that target we were talking about. All right, up next we got the famous American Hillbilly up.
Hey, how you doing, fellas? Oh man, I'm glad to be on here. We've been without internet for the last few hours, and it's been storming here. And oh man, glad we got it back. So anyway, good to be here with y'all.
You know what they say? You ought to get that Starlink.
Well, I don't think they'll
Hasbro.
work without electricity.
It's a national target company instead of U.S. target company.
Yeah, national.
okay.
Sorry.
All right, so up next we got Mike at MN Shooting Sports, also the Long Rifle channel. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, Chad. Thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody being here, and look forward to the conversation tonight.
All right, and last but not least, we got George from Southern Rifle. George, are you with us?
I think so.
Yeah, just don't have your picture. How's your week been, buddy?
Just wet.
What's that?
I'm trying to get. So it ain't been nothing but wet around here.
Oh yeah, wet. Yeah, raining. Yep. Yep. We are getting some nasty weather for sure. Well, hopefully nobody washes off. I seen in central Kentucky where there's been some bad flooding, and someone was telling me earlier. I think it was lead fever. He was texting me earlier and saying that we've already had some fatalities in Kentucky. Some people's drowned because of the flooding. So I hate to hear that, but we'll get this show rolling here. We're going to talk about 22 long rifle barrels, and just to get started, I'm going to name off a few, and I'm probably not going to name them all. In the side chat, you can tell us what your brand preference is. But I've made a list here. So you got Shaw barrels, Schillen barrels, Kidd barrels, Green Mountain barrels, Mueller barrels, Benchmark barrels, Volkortzen barrels, Faxon barrels, Lilja barrels, Krieger barrels, Bartland barrels, Douglas barrels. I mean, the list could go on. That's just a few that I've named. So I guess we'll go around the room, and question number one, or topic number one, is going to be: have you ever rebarreled a rifle? What rifle was it? And how did it work out for you? So I'll go first. The only rifles that I have rebarreled myself personally, when I first got into this rimfire game, I was strictly 1022, and I've done several 1022 barrels, and I got 3 1022 rifles that shoot exceptionally well. Two of those are Kidd barrels, and one of them is a 20-inch Green Mountain fluted barrel. And I held the high score in the semi-auto class for 2 years with the Green Mountain barrel, and that just recently got taken away from me by a total of 4 points. So my high score for that's been standing for 2 years just recently got beat by 4 points.
I owe some.
So, Justin, have you ever rebarreled a rimfire?
Just 1022s like you, Chad. I'm just now getting into, getting far enough along to start building something custom, and that's probably going to happen this year, hopefully.
Rimfire Dave, we all know the answer to this question.
How many thousands have you?
How many
Try turning it off.
How many gazillion rimfire barrels have you put on?
Didn't help.
Are you hearing me, Dave?
I had no volume.
Oh, you can't hear us.
Nobody's there but me.
He was working.
Yeah, he's not hearing us. He's hearing them. His earbuds may not be paired. All right, we'll jump around the room here, and maybe he can get it figured out. Hillbilly, have you rebarreled a rimfire?
Well, first of all, when you said talking about barrels, I thought we was talking about barrels of whiskey, so that's kind of throws my whole game off there. But no, not I honestly almost bought a Green Mountain, and I've been looking to buy a Kidd, but I've just not actually done it yet. The only barrels I've changed out, I guess, would be uppers on an AR. So sorry, I'm not much help on this part, but yeah, I've definitely been looking, to switch some, get try something different.
That's all right, buddy. When we get done with you here tonight, you'll be wanting to rebarrel something.
That's true.
Hasbro, I know you got one that's been rebarreled.
Yeah, I got several 1022s. In fact, I'm working on a brand new build right now with a Kidd barrel. But Green Mountain, just various factory barrels. Building one and reaming it and shouldering it and everything from scratch. The one I did most recently, though, is not Rimfire. It's a 30i6 M1, and that was a lot of fun. With the collar and the Buffington sight and all those tools I had to make just to get the stupid collar off. But that's a story for if we talk centerfire one day. But then, actually, yeah, the CZ, right? Lilja barrel.
Yeah.
That was a really good switch.
Yeah. So how about you, Mike? Have you rebarreled a rimfire?
I have actually. Rimfire is like people watching this are going to be more familiar with. I probably was one of the first people ever, and it was before I was even like doing this stuff on YouTube. This is the Shaw barrel that I put on my RPR about 8 years ago. This is the box. It's got the original barrel, but this is the ER Shaw barrel that I put on my RPR that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole with rimfire and precision. And the whole point of that rifle is it was an RPR, and I was shooting a Ruger Precision rifle in 308 in PRS. So it was like it was supposed to be the comparable thing. But then I found that with that RPR 22, I was killing it in some 100-yard and 200-yard, target paper matches and stuff. My son still has the rifle that has this ER Shaw barrel on it, and it was an absolute hammer with the old Ely gold box, not the yellow box. When the Ely target was in like a gold colored box, not yellow.
Yep.
It was an absolute hammer in that. And when I sold it to him, I sold it to him with like 3 bricks of ammo and said, be cautious with it. And he went out and he spit right through all that ammo. And it hasn't been the same rifle since. But
Oh man.
that's the first one I ever did. And then, real briefly, I'll tell you that with my vintage stuff, I've rebarreled a whole bunch of vintage rifles.
Oh yeah.
To find the right barrel. And I know it's not the same as what we're probably thinking here, but when you're going, looking for some 100-year-old rifles, and you can find parts rifles, and you start looking through them, and this one's got like only corrosion through 80% of the barrel instead of 100%. Well, you start swapping barrels.
That's a win.
Yeah. So, and those 3 barrels are all off of a very rare rifle. And the reason I bring it up, and I made a note to talk about it, is I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it where my camera will pick up on it here on the computer, but this is a barrel that.
Find it.
Yep. Okay. So there's no rifling in it. It's because this was an absolutely gorgeous barrel from the outside, but it was horrendous on the inside. So I had a gunsmith. I was going to line this barrel because I never thought I would find the rifle or the parts to be able to make this rifle. And then I found one. And someday I'm going to build a rifle around this with a rebarreled, or a liner in it. But anyway, it's a barrel. It's a 1904 to 1906 Stevens Little Craig, very rare rifle barrel that was in beautiful condition, except the inside was it looked like people were growing mushrooms inside there or something.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so Derek Casey in the side chat, he says, last 22 barrel I had put on was a Lilja Calfee design 4-groove type bore barrel, and it was a Hummer. So yeah, I got a Calfee rifle, and it came with an extra barrel, so I got 2 Calfee barrels.
There he goes bragging again. I offered him $20, cold hard cash for it, and he wouldn't take it.
Hey, I'll send you that Savage, the budget mark, the 1-screw budget mark II. You might be able to beat Eli with it. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Ron, 2A Matters. What's up, buddy? Yeah, so George, what tell us about your rimfires that you've rebarreled?
Man, that'd take all night.
Well, give us some highlights.
The highlights. I've done a little bit of everything. Foliax.
You put it in there.
Hand shoots. One of my favorites was a hall. I think you got a picture of that hall. I sent you a picture of it.
Which one is it? I'll hold it up here.
It's sitting on the table. It's got kind of a camo looking stock, red, gray. That's it.
Okay.
It's an Allen Hall action with a 4-groove shilling ratchet, Calfee taper, and my buddy Jackie Stogstill down here at Buck Creek is one that chambered it for me, threaded it. But man, that thing is killer. Those
That's a
shilling
good.
ratchet barrels to me, they ain't nothing else. But that's just me. That's just my opinion of it.
Yeah,
You know.
that's a
Now
good
I've had
looking.
other guns that that I've done with factory barrels. Had factory barrels done as well. We can talk about that later. But
It's a good looking rifle.
yeah, that one. And there's a black Anschutz, black stock Anschutz.
Let's see. That was this one.
Yeah,
Is that it? Okay.
yeah, that's it. That's a super match with another Calfee taper. I think it's 1/900 is what the taper was on it. 4-groove shilling on a factory Anschutz, pinned, not not threaded. It was a super match in a Bruno McMillan Edge stock, which though if you ain't had one of those stocks, man, they're the bottom. But that was another just killer shilling, buddy, shilling ratchet. And
I can't believe you let them go.
dude, they're tools to me. I've got a
Yeah.
few guns that I'll keep, and I used to build guns just to sell them, just get them
Yeah.
lined out, get them shooting good, and let somebody have them, you know. But I'm not a gun collector. I'm a gun shooter.
Lead Fever, I'm glad you got your son's 457 back, and I'm glad it's working out for you. Hopefully, that new Savage you're going to get also works out for you. So he got a 457. His son did, and it wouldn't shoot a group for nothing. They sent it back, and CZ fixed it, and then he also had a Savage Mark II, that the FBSR, the short one that's threaded, and it wouldn't shoot. And he sent it back to Savage, and they rebarreled it, done some test shots on it. It still wouldn't shoot to their satisfaction. So they're sending him a completely new gun. He just got that news today. So looks like um, Rimfire Dave jumped off, so maybe he'll be back here in a minute. But he is a rifle builder, so to ask him if he's rebarreled a 22 rifle would be a waste of breath.
Literally could probably do a whole show just on Dave.
Yeah. So, all right,
I
we'll
can't
go
get the
back to
side chat up. Anybody got any ideas?
do what now?
I can't get the side chat to go.
Uh,
Are you on the YouTube side or the StreamYard?
YouTube.
Oh, are you logged in? We had that before.
Yeah,
You got to be logged into a YouTube account.
yeah, I am.
Huh.
Oh, it's
I don't know.
showing up fine for me.
Well, the filter's working.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with it.
all right, so
Well, I can't
Rimfire,
see any of the side chat. Yeah, Derek knows. He knows the deal. Ah, well.
Rimfire Dave tried to jump back on there, but he jumped right back out. All right, so we'll go to number 2. So, if you could build your dream rifle, what barrel would you select? So, I've never got the opportunity to build a rifle, but I am currently in the process. I have ordered my trigger. I have ordered my stock. Um, I've decided on my action, and I have not yet ordered the barrel. I'm kind of like Johnny Cash. I'm build it one piece at a time. Um, so
It's a 57, 52.
yeah. So I am. I've decided that I'm going to go with a Lone Star Action by PPG, and I'm going to do a Douglas barrel. And one of the reasons that I've selected a Douglas barrel is because of the rapport they have. Uh, they got good review. Their price point is very well, and they're not very far from where I live. And Justin up there, the guy that's building the rifle rest that Justin introduced to us, is also friends with the guy that runs uh, Douglas. So Justin is going to do some talking and see if we might be able to go do a tour of their factory and possibly get to hand select a barrel. And
We'll get a group deal. I'm in.
Family package.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
do you guys know? Maybe when you're there, ask them. You see if they still make muzzleloader barrels.
No.
Because there was one time that was the only barrel to get, and I have one that holds a bunch of national records by a lady named Nancy Ross, and it's a 50 cal Benchrest gun. And I don't think they still make muzzleloader barrels, but I'd like to know.
Was her sister named Betsy?
Yeah, it should be. It's about that old. It has an original, if you guys know anything about muzzle, Gulcher lock and Gulcher triggers from the 1860s. And they built that with a Douglas barrel. It's cool.
Mike's poking at me in the side chat. He says, now we know why you hang out with Justin. Well, it does have its perks.
He's using you, Justin. He's using you.
I know.
Hey, Dave, you're back. Can you hear us now?
I can. We're
we
having
go.
a terrible storm here, and
Okay.
it apparently knocked out the internet to the house. So I had to get rid of that and go get my phone.
Well, hopefully you can hang in there with us. So
I hope.
we've moved on to the next topic. So we're going around the room here and asking people if they could build their dream rifle, what rifle would you select? Or what barrel would you select? And mine was Douglas, because you know why. We're getting ready to put something together, and that's the barrel that I have selected. So, Justin, if you could build your dream rifle, what barrel do you think you would go with?
I'd probably go with the Sheelan. I really like Douglas too, but we're talking dream rifle, probably Sheelan.
If you know, you know.
Well, judging by winner's list of top 10 rifles every
There
year,
you go.
Sheelan's 8 of them.
There you go, brother.
That's kind of what I'm judging, basing my theory of that on.
Right.
Got Chris Lang in the side chat from down there and somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Hillbilly, if you could build your dream 22 rifle, what barrel would you use?
Well, I mean, if money wasn't an object, then it probably would be a shilling. But in all reality, it'd probably be maybe a kid barrel or something. Yeah, and it'd be really cool if I was going to build a custom rifle. And found a really, really good builder, I would want just a custom barrel with that rifle.
All right. What about Hasbro? He just
Yeah.
opened a package from the mailman that had a kid barrel in it. So
Right there. Yeah. Um, yeah, for 1022, kid, or I just cannot say enough about these Green Mountain barrels. I mean, man, it's amazing. But for bolt action, I'm really happy with Ulja. If I was going to build an all-out custom, though, it's going to be Mueller Works or one of Kenny's DPG's rifles. And that's, in fact, I've been sort of chatting with him about building me one. I kind of want to try it. He's getting some really good results, but one of those two.
you're going to have to lay off the BB guns so you can afford to get you a custom built
I'm
rifle.
going to have to sell all the BB guns to afford those things.
There you go.
So Chris Lang says KI Precision. So what about you, Mike? If you could build your dream rifle, what barrel would you use?
Well, if we're living in fantasy land, and I had to think long and hard about this, okay? But if this is like fantasy land, like we're gonna win the lottery type stuff, I would reincarnate Harry Pope, and I would have him make me a custom barrel for my Walnut Hill. If you don't know anything about Harry Pope and Pope barrels, you should look back into the history about 100 years because that man hammer forged by hand the most accurate barrels ever made. But since we're not living in Candyland here, and it's reality, and if I could have like my dream forger out there for me, honestly, I would like to have someone like build me a Savage Mark II barrel in a heavy stainless profile that I could mount on. And I'm not kidding at all, guys, because I think that would be more fun than anything else I could do. To have like a 1 1/4 inch fat, thick stainless barrel out on the end of my Mark II that matches. I think that would just be the coolest thing in the world. So, Kenny, if you're out there, I know Eli tried to get you to do it, but you should think about it because I think there's a market. But anyway, that's what I would do.
So my uncle, he's one of the reasons that I got interested in target shooting with 22s. And I can remember back when he got me started and he shot an old Savage 900, which was cream of the crop back then. I mean, I was a teenager, but nothing wrong with the Savage, souping one up. So, George, what would your dream rifle have? A Sheelan ratchet barrel?
Yes, sir. Shield and ratchet.
I knew that was
George
coming.
knows.
I've had them. I've had Bartman, Lilja. God, don't even get started on them guys. I've had them all. Douglas is a good barrel. Those are the other air gauge. Is that what they call them? The air gauge barrels. Pretty good barrels, man. But there's good barrels in all of them. We are blessed with good barrels these days. Just absolutely blessed. Back when I started, buddy, if you got a good barrel, you're just lucky.
Dave, I want to mix this question up because you've built plenty of dream rifles. So, what barrel do you recall working the best for you? Because you have been a custom 22 builder. You've built them all. You've worked on them all. What barrel would you go with?
Well, I don't want to. I don't know how to answer your question because I've tried everybody's barrel. My last two builds are on benchmark barrels. One's a 3 groove, one's a 2 groove. And the one prior to that was a Mueller. The one prior to that was a Krieger. The one prior to that, I think, was a Green Mountain. And and the one prior to that I think was a Brux. They all shot wonderful. They all make good barrels. I mean, I don't think you compare them. I tell people buy the barrel you can get. You know,
Yeah.
most wait time is 3 months. So if you can get a barrel in 2 weeks, I'd buy it. Shilling, I've had Shilling barrels. They're excellent. I don't know who makes a bad barrel. It's just whatever you could get.
So moving on, the I think probably what you're trying to say there is the way you set up the barrel and chamber the barrel and crown the barrel is probably what gets you your end result. So we'll dive into that information as we go forward here. So
Well,
the,
I don't know how deep you want to get. See, if anybody has worked with metal, Justin, you should probably understand this more, or Mike, you work with metal. When you work with metal, you change the hardness, and a barrel's no difference. So I cryo my barrels when I'm ready. When I'm done working them, I cryo them, and then I put them on the guns. So some companies do that for you. I don't want to tell you who does that, but there's companies out there that after they make the barrel, they cryogenic them, they dip them in 300 below, and then bring them back to temperature, and then they send them to you. Not all the companies do that, but I don't. Does it affect them? I don't know. I can't say it does or it doesn't. I do my barrels.
yep. So the next question I had to go around the room with was, is it worth it to rebarrel, say, a 1022 or a CZ? Or would you say custom barrels are just for custom builds? So I firsthand have found that rebarrel on 1022s is effective. Uh, I've I've never had the opportunity to rebarrel, say, a CZ or anything like that. So, but as far as a 1022 goes, yes, you can gain accuracy by rebarreling and choosing the right barrel. Um, Justin, what's your take on that?
Oh, you can definitely enhance performance with the 1022 by a new barrel or aftermarket for sure. I had a little bit of experience here lately. A friend of ours, he put a peach pillar barrel on a CZ 457 and actually got to shoot it, and it really did that rifle a world of good. First experience I've ever had with a peach pillar barrel, but it seems to be doing great for that rifle. Can't wait to see it break in and see how it comes in a little bit later. But it's showing good sign already.
Yeah, and it was a direct fit barrel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hillbilly, you think it's worth it?
I believe so. I
You,
mean,
we get done tonight, you're going to be rebarreling that Bear Creek Arsenal 1022
well, that's
clone.
what I'm thinking about. It's got a really sweet bull barrel on it and everything,
Yeah.
stainless. Um, but it's only 16 inches, which I understand. You can get those to work fine. But that is definitely one that I own. I've almost bought a Green Mountain barrel for it, and just to see if I could get some better improvement on the groups and stuff. So, but yeah, I wish they would have made that one a little longer, but they didn't.
Right.
So,
Got Vanessa Kitty out there. Hi, Vanessa. There's
Hey,
Vince
Vanessa.
Ratliff. Thanks, Vince, for joining in. Uh, what about Hasbro? You think it's worth it? You've rebarreled some 1022s and CZs, so you you think it's worth it?
I don't believe in it. Yeah, absolutely. In 1022s, I've had their best Ruger Target Hammer Forge barrel, and the best I could get with the best ammo was 3/4 an inch. And you switched out in Green Mountain, and I'm dialing in 3/8 inch groups, and it's like it's a big difference. And we'll see how Kid is. That's my first Kid barrel. On now, are you talking just 1022s or also like CZs?
No, CZ also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the CZ, mine started off with the MTR Target barrel on it, and that's probably the best money you can spend coming out of the gate, right? To start there, because you'll be immediately competitive with the MTR. But next to the Savage 20 Mark II, I don't want to leave Mike out there because it is a really good gun. But the MTR is really competitive. So now you're going to spend Lilja, if I remember right, was about 7.5 to go from 0.5, 0.6 inch groups to 0.2, 0.3. So if it's worth $750 in your time, and then you got to spend even more on ammo, that's the game you play, right? So yeah, you can get good results. It's pay for every 16th of an inch. You're going to pay a lot more.
Yeah, and Hasbro don't even want to talk about 9mm barrel rifle.
I got one going now, but I had my time with it.
Bit, didn't it?
Ooh, yeah.
What
You have
about
one
you,
go
Mike? Mike, you think it's worth it, or you think it's just for custom guns?
No, it's definitely worth it. That ER Shaw custom match chambered barrel took that RPR with CCI standard from tight half-inch groups to 3/8 inch, 5 and 10 round groups at 50 yards all day long with the same ammo. So I absolutely believe it makes all the difference in the world. But I'm not going to say that, like, let me put it out there this way. I think a lot of people that are out there that like get into the rimfire game, and they put a couple of ammos through their rifle, and they're like, oh god, it doesn't shoot well, I gotta rebarrel it. If they would search a little bit longer for ammo, they maybe wouldn't have to rebarrel their rifle.
Yeah,
Because
you
I'll tell you what, my budget 1022 that has a stock barrel on it, that thing shoots .289 5-round groups with CCI or with SK pistol match special, and look at my videos and see them all day long at 50 yards. And it's the Hogue overmolded $450 or whatever Ruger 1022 with a heavy barrel. And that's with the CV Life rifle scope on it too. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. It all depends, is I guess what I'm saying. But if you search long enough, you might find something that works. I've been lucky with 22s.
Yeah. So you touched on something that as this was going on, I was thinking about it, and I was like, we probably need to add that in there. So don't just shoot a couple of ammos and give up. I mean,
Yep.
you might shoot 10 or 12 different ammos before you find one that comes around. And after you've done this enough, you kind of know which ones to go to and try. Uh, I mean, I got my select ammos that I try, and if it won't shoot one of those, then I might consider rebarreling. But yeah, don't give up too quick. I mean, because that's the biggest part of this rimfire chase is finding the right ammo that works with the barrel you have. And that's my opinion. So, George, What about you? You think it's worth it to rebarrel a 1022 or a CZ, or do you feel like it's just for custom builds?
Well, CZs, I don't, man, me and 1022s don't get along.
Eh,
They're the pole dancers of the gun world. They just want you to throw another dollar at them. But now, I just sold one to Derek's buddy, Casey. It was an AMT Lightning. It's the only actual stainless receiver you can get without getting a custom action. The 1022 stainless are not stainless actions. But anyway, that AMT, I put a kid barrel on it, or it had a kid barrel on it when I bought it. I'm sorry, but it would shoot SK match, buddy, in a hole until it broke your heart, like they all do. So, but now he's got a 1022 with a Green Mountain barrel on it. I think he built it for his daughter, but it's just killer. You know, as far as CZs, I can't say I've never owned one. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so my 1022 that shoots so good, it's got a 20-inch Green Mountain fluted barrel, and it shoots really well. Uh, and I've found two ammos that it likes a lot, and that is the SK Biathlon and SK Pistol Match Special. And for the longest time, I couldn't find the biathlon, and that's what led me to switch to Pistol Match Special, and it shot just as good. It also shot some Ely, uh, that semi-auto precision Benchrest. It
Yep.
shot it really well, but I went with Justin to a big ABRA match, and that's the ammo I was shooting was the Ely, and that was a 6 card match, and I was pulling a bore snake through it between rounds, but I still had feeding issues. That Ely ammo was so dirty that before I could get through a card, my rifle would start hanging up, and I was having to borrow a pick off of somebody and start picking my rounds out of the barrel. I still shot decent with it, but that was aggravating. It's
Hmm.
not the place you want to be when you're trying to shoot a big match like that. So
That's odd because in mine, like you said, I just got a box of that Pistol Match Special because you recommended it. And I don't have enough time with it on that Green Mountain barrel, but same amount of Benchrest and the Outlaw, which is considerably cheaper. I think it's just the lots that aren't quite as good. Both shoot crazy good, and I bet you I have 800-900 rounds on it. I'm just about now ready to clean it, but it's never had a misfeed. So that's odd.
all right, so Rimfire Dave, is it worth it to rebarrel, say, a 1022 or a CZ, or do you think that it's just worthy of custom builds?
Oh, I think it's worth the upgrade.
Yep.
Yep.
So
I've never done it to a 1022 or a CZ, but I'm sure it would be worth it.
I've seen a lot of people rebarrel, and like even like Josh at Pursuit of Accuracy, he's got his CZs rebarreled. It, and it seems like that it shoots a lot better. So before I name off our next topic here, I'd like to get the side chat engaged here. Um, so if you would in the side chat type the word barrel, and we'll go through this topic, and once this topic's over, we'll get Hillbilly up to call your name out on the big screen here. So, hey, Benchrest Marksman, how you doing, buddy? He's all the way over there in Australia.
Good to see him out.
Yep.
Yep. So, our next question would be, would you prefer a threaded barrel or a pin barrel to your action? Dave, I'll let you go first on that because you got the knowledge.
Me,
You got knowledge.
I do not have the technology to do a pin barrel. All mine are threaded, so I only do actions that are threaded, like Winchesters, Remingtons, Voodoos, Rimex, um, Turbos, 2500s, Tridents. All the rest are basically pinned, and to get that exact, you have to have high tech equipment. So it's something I could do, but the time involved would be really tough.
Yeah. So this is a illustration of a threaded barrel. So
So
it
I could do that.
threads into the action, and then this is
Now
a
that there, that's not a pinned. That's
okay.
actually two screws.
Yeah.
A
So
pinned actually will have a groove cut across it.
yeah, it's got a. I couldn't find a picture of a pin when it's. And then I also had a demonstration of a. Where did it go? These. This is 10. This is 1022 barrels. So they're locked into the action with a V block. So you see that notch in the back of the barrel. There's a block that tightens up
Right.
against that. And
It,
that's
it's just great, and
yep.
it just goes up against the shoulder.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
So that was the three examples that I could find. So I could not find a pin one. Uh, all right, George, do you prefer a threaded action?
It it depends on who's working on the gun. It's kind of like what Dave said. Unless you got guys that work on Anschutz, right? If they've got the equipment and they work on Anschutz, they'll pin barrels wonderfully. I don't really think it makes a difference. It just depends on what your gunsmith can work on. You can't thread an Anschutz action. Well, you can. Obviously, there's a lot of them threaded, but like the Anschutz are offset just a little bit. The bore, and you can't just thread. Or that's my understanding of it. Anyway, you can't just thread an Anschutz action. So a lot of them are just pins. A lot of gunsmiths just go ahead and pin them instead of having to thread them. Now, I don't. Well, it doesn't matter. It just depends on your gunsmith. That's what it amounts to, in my opinion.
Mike?
Just don't have enough experience to talk about like Rimfire, what to expect. Everything I've had in Rimfire is going to be pinned, the antique stuff and whatnot. You get into threaded, I could talk more centerfire, and why I think it's one is better than the other. But as far as a Rimfire, I don't have enough experience with Rimfire to say one way or the other, so I'll just leave it there.
Hasbro, bring the engineer out in you, son.
The engineer in me says threaded. It just takes some good lathe skills and et cetera. And then if you're going to thread it, you might as well custom chamber it, and go to the whole thing. But that said, other than the M1 work I've done myself, it's like I would send that out to a gunsmith to have it done. And I kind of like doing the work myself. I just don't have a lathe now. And, but I'd probably go threaded. But then again, that taper lock kind of system on the CZ works really good too. But I think it's still more accurate, probably threaded.
Hey, Billy, what's your take?
Yeah, I'd probably go with threaded so I could put a suppressor out on the end of it.
Threading the wrong end.
Oh, wrong end. Okay. Well, Yeah, I mean, that's just I would have to go with the threaded, I mean, because definitely wouldn't have the technology unless, you know, like everybody's saying, a good gunsmith or something, but you know, thread it out there so you can get you a good pipe wrench on the end of it and tighten her up.
A big pipe wrench.
Mike, Mike, do you have the answer to this question? The Savage barrels, are they pinned? Is that what they are? Is that why they don't? I know they don't have a lot of aftermarket options for the Savage. Is it?
I on the Mark IIs, I honestly believe they are. I've looked at some schematics that lead me to believe that they are, and that's the problem why nobody wants to mess with it. Because then you can't just ship a pre-fit barrel, you have to send a receiver with it. Now that turns into all the complications of you're transiting a firearm over state lines and all the garbage that goes along with it. Because once that, like, as an example, here's that barrel that I was talking about earlier that I've got bored to reline, and here's the refurbished receiver for it. But if I ship the two of these together, I need to meet federal firearms standards, and it's going to have to go to an FFL nowadays, okay, in order to ship it from A to B. But if I can just do this, so if it's pinned and you got to separate them, it's a problem for people. Don't know for sure, but I believe looking at the schematics I've been able to find off of the patent office and stuff of a Mark II action, I do believe it is pinned. I've never tried to take one of mine apart yet.
They
All
are
right.
pinned.
So back to you, Justin.
So I think threaded is definitely the way to go. Um, you can adjust the headspace with threads really easy. Um, a lot of like centerfire stuff has a recoil lug between the shoulder and the receiver. You could basically change thickness of recoil lug and change headspace that way. But
Yep.
talking about rimfire, you could shim the that transition or turn it back further or face off the receiver, whatever, to mess with headspace. But a properly cut thread, I believe, is definitely the way to go. Uh, like the 1022 V block style, it's real torque sensitive. If you over tighten it, you'll have barrel droop or put things in a bind to change harmonics. I don't really like that system with the 1022. Um, like the 457 uh, CZ type actions. Um, it's kind of like pin, but it has like screws that I guess preload it. Um, that's a pretty neat system. It was designed to be a change barrel system, I think. Um, pretty neat how that works. But like true pin barrels, um, most of them use tapered pins, and that rifle is kind of built with that action, that barrel, and it's not very interchangeable. It's harder to mass produce and be interchangeable. That's I guess why they don't do that.
All right. So, guys, if you haven't already, type the word barrel in the side chat and Hillbilly's going to call your name out. So,
Let me get all the way back up here, see if I can find the first one there, buddy. So I do believe our first one we had in here was Pistol Pete. We had Hasbro, Ronald Eastman, uh, living in West Virginia, 1965. Steve, good to see you, buddy. We got Roger Cohen. We got Ron 28 Matters, Chris Lane, We got Lead Forever. We got Jason Mohoy. Let's see, we got Lead Fever out there. Good to have you. And let me go on down through here. Russell had that didn't get theirs in there. It may have been jumped in a little late. We had Benchrest Marksman. We got Chad Kelly out there. We got No Pro and just jumped in. And see Chris Lang. Did I ever say Chris? Anyway, we got Minnesota Shooting Sports out there. We got Vince Ratliff. And we got Mr. Bob Molina out there too. And Kentucky Rimfires and Hobbies. So I believe we have everybody, and I hope I didn't skip anybody. If I did, my apologies.
All right, so moving on, the next topic we had was what barrel profile would you go with? And do you feel like after a certain size, it's overkill? So is it necessary to have an 1.25 inch barrel? I don't think so. I think anything over a 900 profile is too much. I don't know why anybody wants those truck axle barrels. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on why that is, but I think it's overkill. So that's my take on it. Justin?
For rimfire, somewhere under an inch, I believe is probably the sweet spot. If you have too much weight hanging off a little rimfire action, I think that could be detrimental to harmonics for sure. Kind of the theory with everything is wanting to free float it, and if you start having droop, then, that could be a problem, I guess. But somewhere, Bill Calfee, his taper with Sheelan, he did a lot of research on that to come up with that barrel profile. He was definitely onto something, I think.
Hillbilly.
Man, in this case, I don't know if bigger is better. From what I've understood, I believe that, even as far as thickness and length, their harmonics is what's very important, in these barrels. And so I don't have enough knowledge to really understand, to know it, to, properly explain everything. But just from my research and what I've been been listening to, and I think, the harmonics is the best part of a barrel, maybe, and sometimes maybe the thicker the barrel, maybe you couldn't get quite the same harmonics. So,
Well, and I want to add a little bit to my input there. I said I thought it was overkill. Going back to what Justin said earlier, if you go back and look at the top 10 shooters for last year, how many of them were shooting a truck axle barrel? I mean, most of them were, 920 barrels or 900 barrels, or, nobody was shooting an 1.25 inch barrel. I understand that it changes harmonics, but I don't think that's the barrels you're winning races with. So, how about you, Hasbro? What's your take on it?
Well, all of mine have been 920 barrels recently, and that's more for balance than it is anything else. I don't think you have to be that big, to be honest, on a 22 for harmonics and dampening it and things like that. But it's for balance, and that's really for NRL and PRS shooting, because you want to be able to set it up on a barricade and have it balance. And I know Mike's real familiar with that. You want it to balance right ahead of the magazine well, and it's critical to be able to stay on target and get balanced on your barricades and things. Some of the actions, maybe it's not a good idea, to Justin's point. I've seen 110 and 120 size barrels on CZs Short term, it's probably fine. I don't know about long term, but there are better actions to take the weight. But anyway, to me, it's more about balance. If you have to balance a rifle, you need a bigger barrel. That's one thing, but otherwise, I don't think it's needed for accuracy. So not that big.
George?
Well, go to Varmint Owl's just Google Varmint Owl. Go to his webpage and look up barrel harmonics and maybe tuner harmonics. And you'll understand why they use heavy barrels. Myself, I don't like them. I'm like you, Chad. I would rather. I think going over 900s is just overkill, especially if you use, if you're using a tuner. I don't like it. And I'm going to add something too about an earlier conversation about threaded or pin. There's also clamped. Dave attests to it. He's got one of them, I know. I sent you a picture of one. It's a 2013 BR50 Anschutz. And it has a clamped barrel, which is like a clamshell, I guess you'd say. Man, those things, yeah, there you go. That has a clamped barrel. You can rotate that barrel all you want to. It's, that's just a really good system. I'm sure Dave's gun shot as good as that one did. I've had two of those BR50s, both of them just shot great. But back to harmonics and stuff. Go to Varmint Owl's. I just went there just a second ago just to make sure it was still there because I ain't been on it in years. But it's Varmint Owl barrel harmonics. That'll make you understand a whole lot.
Dave?
Well, I think bigger is better, but you're restricted in a lot of places I shoot by weight limits. Your gun can only weigh 12 and a half pounds, 13 and a half pounds, 10 and a half. So you can't put an inch and a quarter barrel unless you cut it down to 16 inches. So
Right.
it's hard to say. The optimum barrel is 900 because it's only weighs 6 pounds. You put an inch and a quarter barrel in there, 26 inches long, it's going to weigh over 10 pounds. So if you're shooting in the 10-pound class, your barrel took you out of the class. So it's not an easy question for me to answer.
Hillbilly?
Yes, sir.
Do you think the big barrels are overkill, or do you not?
I already answered this. I
You
think
already
it's
answered that.
Mike's turn.
Oh,
Mike's next.
Did
Come
I
on,
go the
Mike.
wrong? I went the wrong direction. Mike,
That's okay.
somebody changed the layout on me too. You're out of order.
Well, I like a big barrel. So,
My man, Mike.
yeah, I will tell you, and that's a Schillen 6 arc 5R 1 7.5 barrel that I just held up there. It's my next barrel for when I need to rebarrel my center rifle. I like the heavier barrel the better for a lot of reasons. Like my Stevens 416 has got about a 900 profile barrel. My 417 Walnut Hill has a heavy 100-year-old barrel on it. For all the reasons that Hasbro mentioned, for me it's about balance because I'm not shooting off of like a lot of rest type stuff. I mean, not like the really, really sturdy rests. I'm shooting off of other things that are a little bit less stable. And if you're talking about the 416 Walnut Hill or the 417 Walnut Hill or the 416 Stevens rifle that I've got, that was a sling shooting rifle. And you need that weight out front to help you with a sling. So the weight does a lot of good things for you in shooting when you're not shooting from a very, very stable position. Now, I get it. I would rather shoot a pencil barrel that is super stable with a wide base on it off of a stable platform on a bench because of a whole host of reasons. But I'm a heavy barrel guy. I just think a heavier rifle is easy to shoot. Um, and that's why I want someone to rebarrel my More Money Mark II with like a twice as fat barrel as what's on that dang thing right now. So
It's got to have. It's got to be able to take medical tape wrapped around the barrel, though.
no, not medical tape, duct tape.
Duct tape.
Duct tape,
Yeah.
100-mile-an-hour duct tape. No medical tape. No medical tape wouldn't hold up in my match.
Uh. Um. We're at 10 after 11, and there's a few more topics on the list, so we may try to combine some of these just so we don't run over too much. So, um, let's just do 6 and 7 together. So, uh, stainless steel barrel or chromoly, and choosing the correct maximum length. How do you know what length barrel to buy? What I don't know. So I'm new to this. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know. So, Justin, what do you got?
So I like stainless steel barrels. For one, rust, corrosion. You know, um, I got some old chrome moly barrels that shoot really well. I have an old Eric Johnson barrel that's like dead soft, mild steel that shoots really well. But you're always combating rust, or corrosion, and you don't want to leave them dirty. You know, um, I think stainless is the way to go now. And as far as barrel length goes, um, I think sweet spots between 20 and 24. The older 52s had like 28-inch barrels. Um, I think they were on to something back then. Um, I like my 28s on my 52s, a lot. Um, yeah, I guess that's pretty well it. But, pretty well the barrel blank will, if you slug it, you can tell a lot about the barrel blank by slugging it to what length it needs to be. Your crown needs to be the tightest spot of the barrel.
Yeah, so with that being said, and maybe Dave can touch on this when we get around to him, but I'm getting ready to purchase a barrel, and that's one of the things that you can select is what length you want. So I guess my question is, do you buy the barrel longer than what you think you need? That way you got some to cut off and
Yeah.
recrown if you need to.
You buy a
Uh,
blank length, and
yeah,
No.
yeah. So, all right. So Hillbilly, what's your take? Stainless steel or chromoly, and what's your minimum maximum length?
Well, man, you're talking to a fella that grew up on revolvers and shotguns and dare rifles. uh, I mean, stainless steel is awesome. Love it. And most usually longer barrel. And, as far as stuff I'm used to, for shotguns or revolvers, you get more accuracy out of the length of the barrel. And myself personally, I like a longer barrel. Um, but then again, I'm starting to learn and understand parts about the harmonics of a barrel. So, that piece of metal is going to work at a certain length, uh, regardless, of maybe the few extra inches or whatever. But just growing up, man, I mean, always had more accuracy with a longer barrel, and so
Hasbro.
He said he'd be right back. I don't know if he's
Yeah, I
back.
didn't know if he was back yet or not. He said be right back. All right, George, chrome moly, stainless, and choosing barrel length.
Well, chrome moly is just, I don't know, it seems like you just have to order them. They're just hard to get now. I like chrome moly. Chrome moly is hard. It's a little harder than 416 stainless, so it'll last a little longer, I guess. I ain't really no preference to get stainless just because, it's easy to get right now. And it's, I've got really no preference on that. As far as barrel length, your weight in your class is going to dictate that. It's like Dave was saying earlier, your weight in class is going to dictate your barrel length. And they're not really dictated, but for what your gun's going to weigh in your setup, you have to be conscious of,
It's one
you can't
restricted.
run a 28-inch barrel or something with a 900 taper, So that's how that goes.
All right, Dave, enlighten us.
Stainless steel all the way. And I think that there's gun manufacturers have been making target rifles for a long, long time. You probably know who they are. Walther and Schultz. They've been making barrels and guns that shot even the Winchesters, the old Remingtons. They all have 26 to 26 and a half inch barrels. They did it for a reason, and I think that's the way to go.
Mike?
As far as the barrel, you're kind of forced, in my opinion, to go to stainless. There just aren't any other options when you're changing out barrels. And like Dave just said, I go back to my vintage stuff and all the accurate vintage things I have a heavy 24 to 26-inch barrel on them, and they're 100-year-old rifles. It they weren't onto something. They knew something that we forgot about 100 years later. That's what it is. So, and that's why I shoot at least a 26-inch barrel in all my centerfire match rifles. So, I'll leave it there.
All right, so the next topics will be twist rates and grooves. How do you know what to select? Again, I'm shopping for barrels. There's different twist rates. There's different number of grooves, um, and then also, what type of crown do you want on your barrel? Do you want an 11-degree crown? Do you want that recessed? Do you want it flat? Or is there something other? Um, Mike, you want to go first this time? Just go back around the room.
Uh, I'm not going to get that specific. Again, to me, it's if you're going to rebarrel something, it's going to be in stainless, and you're going to be very limited to what you can have, unless you're going to go back to the dream question of asking someone to build you a 5R in 1 in 12 twist, blah blah blah. So, I think the whole chasing twist rates and length and crown, I think it gets a little bit too much attention, in my personal opinion. But what do I know? I'm not a big Benchrest shooter.
Dave.
I agree with Mike. I go with 16 twist and a crown. It doesn't matter whether it's straight, 11-degree, 14-degree, recessed. It as long as it's the crown is
It shoots.
perfect, it shoots.
Yep.
So that's what I think.
George?
16 twist. I've only had the only killer rifles I've had. Well, I had one that was a 15 twist, but just in general, 16 all the way. And as far as crowns go, it's just like Dave said, it don't matter. I usually get 11-degree, but that just in case I bump it on something. A little less likely to damage, but that's it.
Hasbro.
Well, most recently, 11-degree recessed. That's what the kit is, which is kind of a unique option. You usually get one or the other. They do both. I don't know how that'll work out. So I'm not sure. I have 11-degree on every barrel that I've replaced or built on new rifles. So just something I just done. I don't know that I can say it matters. I just don't know. But as far as twist, in 22, the only game I've ever played is 16. So I won in 16. So I really don't know, right? If there's anything better. I've read some things where people are doing 114, 114 and a half and being ammo picky, like it's not stable. So, but I don't have personal experience.
Hillbilly.
Well, I think when they, designed these guns over the years, I'm sure when they first started out, these barrels, they probably tried different twist rates and all that stuff. So I figured the reason why, was 16 twist, and some of that is because that's what worked, pretty good. So I know with a lot of guns, there can be a big difference, but with Rimfire, I've not really seen, that big of a difference. And the only thing I've noticed on the crowns is, of course, some of the stock rifles, the older ones you got don't have as much of a recessed crown or whatever, or if hardly any at all. But then it seems like, you look at some of these aftermarket ones, a lot of them have a bigger recessed crown. So I'm really not for sure on that. I really don't have anything to back it up at all.
So there's a picture illustration of a recessed crown.
Heavily recessed crown.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can make it out in this barrel, but this barrel does have a
11 probably.
crown in it. And then also Dave has a barrel there that he might want to hold up and show us that has a crown. Let me go here. Let's see. Yeah.
Yep.
11 degrees.
Yeah, so that's about
What is that? Oh, it's
It looks flat, but it's 11 degrees.
There you go. That looks good right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's about what that Bear Creek one is. It's got a recessed crown, but not a whole lot. And it's stainless.
Justin.
A lot of the old vintage rifles, Winchester 52s and stuff, they were just flat crowned. I'm kind of like George. I like 11 degree, just to protect the crown. You'll bump the OD of the barrel before you hurt the crown. If heaven forbid you drop the rifle. So twist rates, 1 to 16 is pretty well king of 22 long rifle twist rates. It's something that people's played with for years, but for the bullet weight, you're trying to stabilize 1 to 16 pretty well. That's about really the only option. As far as grooves, rifle and grooves, that's been played with from Eric Johnson played with 8 groove barrels and had a lot of success with that and some older stuff. Dave was mentioning 2 groove barrels. He's been playing with here lately. So as far as grooves go, it's the whole spectrum. I think Calfee was a strong proponent of 4 groove. I guess it's just whatever works or shoots or you have faith in. But that's pretty well my take.
So I'll tell you this. I know nothing about twist rates. I know nothing about grooves. But I can tell you this: if your crown is not right, your gun will not shoot. I had a, I still have it. I have a 1022 that had a, or has a competition kid barrel on it. And when I first got the gun, the barrel would not shoot. I mean, at best, I was getting .8 groups uh, at 50 yards. Not acceptable. Um, I took it to a friend of mine. He had it cut back and recrowned for me, and now it shoots lights out. And that's the 1022 that, if you've ever seen my KYL videos where I shoot the KYL rack with the 1022, that's the gun I'm speaking of. Now you can put Cinerex in it and it'll shoot .3s and .4s. Uh, it shoots exceptionally well. So protect your crown when you're cleaning your rifles. Don't be letting your cleaning rods rub up against them and wear them one-sided, or like Justin said, if you drop your gun and that barrel hits on the ground, you've just compromised that crown, and that will change your accuracy totally. So
Well, you better get the Dremel out and straighten that crown out if you do.
Chainsaw file.
I've done that on a muzzleloader.
there are some videos out there in the YouTube land where people's tried that. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Elijah try to do some crown work on a Savage?
Yeah, and
It
I'd like to point something out about what you just said though, Chad. And it's just I'm not that I'm disagreeing with you. It's a different possible opinion on it, which is maybe it wasn't the crown that was a problem. Maybe it was the barrel harmonics. And by shaving a little off of the end of the barrel, it changed the harmonics
could
of the
be.
barrel as well. Because I've seen little things like that. People are like, well, how can that be? And just the littlest change in the weight at the end of the barrel all of a sudden opened a rifle up to where it's like, oh my God, where did this come from? You know,
Right.
and it's just it's one of those things where it's like you really never know. You know, it's like, but once you got it right, you don't want to change it. So
Yep. I 100% agree with you, because for me to sit here and say that was the fix, it did fix it, but you're right.
maybe it just needed, uh, a half an ounce shaved off of the end of it for the
Right.
barrel to go, hey, I'm perfect,
Yep.
So you never know.
I agree. I mean, if you think you got all the answers in this Rimfire game, you better back up and
You're lying to
rethink.
yourself. Yeah.
I'd say after Chad
That's
spent that money to have that thing redone, he probably got better confidence, maybe too.
Yeah, boosting confidence. Yep, that's right.
Now I got
built in.
So,
Hey, you mentioned about damaging that crown or damaging the chamber leading into it. I was just about to buy two older vintage rifles, and the guy let me take them home and scope them first. And I won't do it now, but someday if you want to, it's the worst I've ever seen. It's like, holy cow. The
so
muzzle was destroyed. The chamber was destroyed from bending the rod. You talk about a little bit of wear. There was rifling down all the way to the bottom of the grooves, gone. I mean, it was like there was no land. It's like bad, really bad.
So Kenny's on here from Eagle Eye, and he's got the knowledge of the stuff we're talking about for sure. So he says 11-degree crown is not ideal for 22s. He has slow-mo footage showing gas disruption causing pitch and yaw deviation. 11-degree with the bore chamber would work. Uh, Done a lot of testing on this. Everything but 11-degree worked. So, Yeah. Like I said, if you think you know this stuff, you'll find out that you don't. There's just so many variables to this rimfire stuff. It's a constant chase. Seems like.
Yep.
Um, Kenny, maybe I should have had you on here tonight. you might could have
Who's
helped
this
us
Kenny
out.
guy?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's just some old rifle builder out there.
Oh,
He tinkers.
Yeah, he tinkers around. Yeah, yeah,
if he was important, he'd have a YouTube channel.
yeah,
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 that's true.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm gonna blow my screen up right here. I'm gonna show something off, and Hasbro, don't get too jealous.
I know what's coming up. I bet you.
There's a
Oh.
crown.
Ooh.
Can you see that crown?
Yeah.
All right, I'll show you the rest of it. It's got a name on it.
Hasbro.
Can you read that?
Nope.
Coffee 040.
Oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah. I know he's
So-
bragging.
I got my Bill Calfee rifle, and it came with an extra barrel. This is a tapered barrel, and it's got a dial here so you can set headspace. And I've yet to try that on that barrel or on that rifle. I have not installed it and tried it since I've owned it. I need to, but it shoots so good with the rifle, the barrel that's on there. I don't want to mess with it. So
We just need to get you another coffee rifle and put that barrel on there.
yeah, okay.
Calfee
They're just
also,
laying around everywhere.
I have seen several of them mentioned since I mentioned mine. So somebody on the side chat tonight was mentioning that they had a Calfee barrel. So
You're not going to find them at Dollar General, though.
no.
Not likely.
Calfee also did some barrels the way you have them right there with that collar,
Yep.
just so you could index them. That's the reason they have a cone breech, so you could turn them and index them. Now I don't know whether that's one of them or not,
It's
but they do
yeah,
make barrels go like that.
That's a cone breech.
it's just a cone breech.
So the extractors grooves don't have to be
But-
cut.
Oh, so
The-
clearances.
If it's one of the indexable barrels, I think maybe it had two nuts on it. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I can't say for sure.
This particular one has one nut.
That may
So-
just be
Got
for
a
headspace.
cone breech.
You
That's
build
why
them that
it's
way, Dave?
Just indexing.
There's Dave. Dave's got one.
You build
Cone
them that
breeches
way,
work
Dave?
well if your gunsmith knows how to do them.
Gotta do them all.
All right, so there's 3 topics left on the paper here. We're going to compile all 3 of them together and run around the room because it is at the hour and a half mark. So, fluted barrel or not, do you think it's necessary? What rifling style do you prefer? Cut, button pull, ratchet, and chamber reamer preference. If you're going to build a rifle, what chamber reamer do you use? And Dave, I know what you use, and you explained it to me and Justin a little bit before the show. So I'll let you touch on that. Justin, what do you feel about fluted and rifling style and chamber reamer?
So fluting, if you're trying to get a particular barrel length and meet some kind of weight class like Dave was mentioning earlier, fluting will definitely shave some weight. There's a lot of debate on, increases surface area. Supposedly it cools faster, and there's a lot of debate that a fluted barrel is actually stiffer because of the surface area. I'm no expert on that, but that's definitely been debated. What was the other topic? Alt cut or button pulled rifle?
Yeah, rifling style and chamber reamers.
Yeah, I think cut rifling is pretty good as long as it's smooth and not with good tooling. If it's done right, I believe cut rifling's one of the better methods. Then the other part of the question was
Reamer.
reamers. I'm thinking 52D chamber reamers is definitely how everybody's going nowadays. Gives you a broader spectrum of ammo selection you can use. You can use Ely, RWS, or Lapua ammo in it from what Dave was explaining. So I believe that's the way to go now.
Hillbilly, do you got any input on any of those?
The only thing I got any input on is the fluted barrels. That's something I, that responds over to pistols, to rifles, and everything like that. And a lot of that is weight differences. Be able to lighten up a barrel, but also I've been from what I've understood, and I can actually understand the fact that it could make the barrel stronger. Take some of the warp or any of that stuff out of the barrel. Just because I've done a lot of fabricating in my lifetime, but yeah, that's all I got on that. I don't really have anything to say on the other stuff.
So Kenny's chimed in there and says, okay, input on rifling. 22 long rifle is susceptible to any bore and groove deviation. That's why you see co-bores and flyers.
He's got some good videos that
Yep.
go on that.
So here's another one. He's coming in there with stainless steel metal have different densities. If you've ever run a big bore machine, soft dirt versus hard dirt.
Mm. Amen.
Yeah, and it work hardens tremendously.
Yeah. So cut rifling is harder to get the bore uniformity.
Yeah. If it's done right, though, it's.
Yeah, I
Pretty
sent
good.
on that to Eagle Eye before, let him answer that.
You
for
told
me.
him what to say, didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah. Okay.
Hillbilly coach.
All right, where were we? Hasbro.
Well, rifling wise, I have cut and I have buttoned. I don't have any ratchet, so I can't really say. Of those, probably my two most accurate barrels are cut, but I have some that are buttoned, and I don't know. Hard to say it's just that. Because then there also you get the hand lapping and everything else, and I'm just not sure I can say enough there. Fluted, the engineer in me says, okay, yeah, it's stronger. Okay, it is because it distributes the stress over larger areas, but on a 22, is that really a big deal? Probably not with these heavy barrels. The other thing, though, is the surface finish and color. Now, this is the engineer in me. I have this just up as an example. If you have a black surface, it will give up its heat much faster than a standard stainless. And people like to Cerakote them. Cerakote's a plastic. It insulates very well. Even though it has some ceramic in it, it's still a plastic. And so it insulates and you won't give up your heat as fast. So a black coated barrel, anodized or whatever the case may be, parkerized, will give up its heat faster than a polished or bead blasted barrel. And chambering, I can't say.
Kenny's coming in there again, says button rifling can produce more uniform rifling, but it also produces bore stress. So when you turn the OD, there's a risk of opening up the bore. Says his barrels are ECM rifled, which is a similar process of a sinker EDM. Button rifle barrels can produce profiling grooves, which tends to have higher BC over the cut rifling square grooves. That is why Schillen and Mueller barrels are dominating the 22 Benchrest. George.
Prefer cut rifle. That said, some of the best shooting barrels I've had have been butt. So I guess it could go either way.
Dave, what you got?
I have no preference on that because I think as long as they're clear and not all marred up inside, I think they'll work. You know, I see Eagle Eye says that, the Mueller barrels and they're using this new process. And I can't argue the fact because I don't own that many different ones. I mean, I own a lot of different ones, but they all shoot. I'm shooting tomorrow. I don't know which one to take. I have 7 heavy guns. I'm shooting unlimited tomorrow, and I don't know which one to take. You
Take
know,
the red one. Take the red one.
to take the red one.
Yeah.
Well, that one all those shoots last year, so I should give another guy a chance.
Take your BCA 1022 heavy barrel. That's what you meant to say, right?
See, there's what Eagle Eye said the same thing. The bore is uniformly and evenly lapped. Exactly. And that's what I look for.
Kenny, drop me an email at toyotachad@outlook.com. I'd love to have you on here as a guest speaker one night, and we'll ask you a bunch of questions. Pick your brain.
Get him a whole show by himself.
Yeah, he could take this. It'd be a Benchrest. Let's talk Benchrest takeover. Mike, what about you, buddy? What do you got
Whatever
to add?
shoots. You know, most everything I've got isn't custom, so whatever it is, and it shoots. Me and my Mark IIs, and I love them, and those are button rifled, and I've had a couple of them that just flat out hammer. But you talk center fire. I love the Schillen 5R, 1 7.5 ratcheted 6 arc barrels I've been getting. I've got 4 of them. I've got 2 that are set away, but I've rebarreled 2 rifles 1 time each with them, and they hammer. I love that 5R, ratcheted barrel. Whatever there is about it. I don't understand what's going on inside there, but it shoots.
Kenny says he's only regurgitating this info as I spoke with the best barrel smiths in the industry when I was developing my barrels. So, would love to have you on here. There's plenty of other topics about Benchrest that I'm sure we could get you involved in. And guys, that pretty much wraps up what we had for bullet points tonight. And we'll go around the room and close this thing out and tell everybody, plug your channel, tell everybody what you got coming up. Myself, I got we don't have any competitions this weekend, so we're competition free, and that's a good thing because we're having some weather, so it wouldn't work out anyway. I got a video coming up where I filmed our competition last weekend, and I put together a little video kind of showing the guys shooting and what it consists of, and kind of run down the firing line and videoed everybody while they were shooting. And after the match, Justin and I and a couple others got to shoot a CMMG Banshee 5.7x28 suppressed, and we made a little video doing that, and that turned out to be a good video. So yeah, I think that's the only two I got in the queue right now. But guys, come over and check out Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies, and thank you for jumping on here tonight and joining us here on Let's Talk Benchrest. And I appreciate all the guys here in the side chat and the panel for interacting. I think we had a really good show tonight, and none of us here claim to know all there is to know. We're just on here sharing experiences and opinions. And Kenny, I appreciate you getting on here and sharing what you know. Justin, what do you got coming up, buddy?
Not a whole lot. Pretty well off weekend this weekend. Maybe do some videos Sunday if weather permits.
We got to get ready for turkey season too.
Absolutely. We're a week away from turkey season.
Yep. Hillbilly.
Yeah, buddy. Oh my goodness. Of course, tomorrow night we got Guns, Beer, and Therapy. Every Saturday night, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. If you ain't done nothing, come over and visit us. Boys just try to have a good time over there, make somebody's day better. And of course, I got videos coming out, this coming week and stuff. I believe I have, the anechoic suppressor. Got that on 300 blackout, and going to be doing some testing and review on that, and a few other things. So I had previously shot that because the weather has just been really rough around here. Doggone it, man. We've had March winds, and I'd be darned if we didn't turn to April, and we're getting April showers every day since then. And so, oh man, and my wife won't let me shoot in the house out the window. So anyway, that's we're still putting out videos though, and trying to give people entertainment. So anyway, thanks for having us, Chad, and thanks for inviting me on here. Always a great panel, great discussion, and an awesome side chat out there.
Yeah, thanks for being here, buddy. Hasbro, what you got coming up?
Well, it's raining. It's raining bad, so I may cut some more cans indoors with some pellet and BB guns. But I'm building another 1022. You saw that kid barrel tonight, so I'll be putting most of it together. I don't have the stock yet, and I'm missing the charging handle. But look forward to shooting that and getting out and do some 50 and 100-yard work with that. But I really am way overdue for... what's that?
What stock are you going with?
Stock? That one's going to be a KRG Bravo chassis system. My favorite is probably still this Oryx chassis that I have on my Green Mountain one, but I've been really happy with the Bravos I have on two other guns. So
you check out a Bell and Carlson.
Oh, that's what I need to do?
Bell and Carlson.
Okay. But yeah, so that's what I'm building on it. Right now, my other one, the one that's killing me, and you guys that build 1022s will know this. I'm putting a BX trigger that's been tuned into it. It's a really nice trigger, but my 1022 has the $400 and something kid trigger 2-stage, and I'm going to be going and then shooting this BX going, oh crap, but it's like it's hard for me to swallow paying that much money for a trigger, because that's more than my competition jewels and jards and things like that in my center fires. So anyway, I'm ranting on about kid pricing, but it is a good trigger.
So on your 1022 builds, if you ever want a custom billet action, check out CST. It's Custom Shooting Technologies. They're right here in Kentucky, and I have two of their actions, and they are very, very nice.
All right.
George, what you got coming up, buddy?
A whole lot of shooting, hopefully.
You
Made one today. It's
need
been so
to.
wet.
You laid in hibernation all week, all winter, so you need to get out and do something.
Dude, I got warm today. It got nice out here. I
All them
couldn't get to my
challenge
target.
targets.
I couldn't get to my
Shoot some more of
target
that
today.
vintage ammo.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. And
Yeah.
I couldn't get to my target today because it was muddy. I'm in a wheelchair, in case y'all didn't know. And so my wife comes home, said, just out of the blue, said, "You want me to take you a target out there?" So I'm still wondering what the hell she's done. Let me get done happen.
She's up to something.
Damn right. And we were supposed to have a big shoot tomorrow, the groundhog match, but it's just been called off because we're supposed to have another round of rain tonight, and we wouldn't be able to get across the creek down there to get up to the target. So we had to call that off till May 3rd, I think it is. But hopefully this weather's going to break and a man will be able to get out and shoot something. That's all I'm hoping for right now. And before I forget, we was talking about barrel length a while ago. Now, it's not so bad now because we're blessed with good barrels like I was talking about, but a lot of times your barrel length is going to be dictated by what that slug says. And I mean, slug in a barrel, I think y'all know what I mean. Like you'll want it cut it at 28, but it'll be so big at 28 you can't do it. You have to put it back where it actually has some choke in the barrel. But that's a whole nother thing.
Kenny, you're making Hasbro's head swell up. Dave, what you got coming up, buddy?
Hey,
Oh.
wait a minute. Kenny put that non-biased approach. It's also non-informative approach. Thanks, Kenny.
I have a ARA shoot tomorrow, and Tuesday I have a 100-yard rimfire match, and I got a couple other things for guys I told them I'd help them with this week, and I'm going to go down and take my Mark II Savage and see if I can take the barrel off and put Mike inch and a quarter. I happen to have an inch and a quarter rimfire barrel down in my basement. I just don't know, Mike, how you're going to hold it in there. I guess if you glue the barrel in, let the action free float it, it might work. But I'm going to work on that for Mike. That's all I have. Hey, I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you all. And some people commented about my videos. I'm not very smart yet on this videoing, but I'm going to get better. I am going to learn how to do like you all do, put a video in a video. See, I've tried that, but it doesn't come out. So, but it's hard to teach an old person new tricks, but I'm working on it.
I'm with you there, brother.
You're doing a very, very good job, Dave. You've put out a lot of good information out there. So,
Thank you.
Mike, what you got coming up, buddy? Long
Well,
gone.
since I took tomorrow off or whatever, two things fold. I told my wife yesterday at dinner that I'm either going to shoot the April NRL 22 course of fire at a gun club that's about 25 minutes away from me, or I'm going to run down to North Star, which is about a 45-minute hour away from me, club that I belong to, and I really need to do an additional promotional video for my long gong match. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to go down and I'm going to shoot another long gong match promo video. I have had not as much people signing up for it as I thought I'd have. I've got 12, possibly 13 people registered out of the 30 slots I set aside. But I reached out after 2 weeks ago with Kenny making the comment that he did about, reach out to him, and it woke me up that, hey, yeah, reach out to manufacturers. And Vortex sent me this box today that's got a bunch of goodies in it. I've got commitments from Vortex, Arkin, Athlon, Warren, BT, which is Atlas Bipods, if you didn't know, CV Life, who I've done a couple of videos for. They are sending me one of their top tier rifle scopes to give away. What else do I got? SK Ammunition or Lapua Ammunition is going to sponsor the match. So I'm having a lot of success with this. So I'm really hoping to promote it because I am trying to turn this into like, okay, we're going to turn it into the next phase. And I don't want to, I'm going to say it here. I'm going to just call it out because nobody here in Minnesota is probably watching this. I want to do a king a quarter mile. I've got the ability to shoot over 500 yards. So I want to do 440 yards. I want to do quarter mile rimfire batches at this range. And if this match goes off successfully, the board members at my rifle club will be all on top of it. So anyway, that's what I got going on. So I'm going to go shoot a video tomorrow.
Yeah, so as we went around the horn, Mike, everybody complained about weather. They ain't been able to make no videos. I'd like to point out that Mike shoots in all weather.
It's probably going to be raining tomorrow when I do it. It's going to be beautiful on Sunday, but I want to work on my Jeep on Sunday in 50-degree weather in my driveway. So I will go out and I will shoot this video in the rain if I need to tomorrow. Because
Mike,
if we shoot the match, it's going to be in bad weather. That's what it's going to be. So anyway, sorry.
Mike, in the side chat, Kenny says, "Hey brother, did you send an email?" And Hasbro said, "Who, me?" And he goes, "No, the fellow talking." So you need to send him an email. Maybe he'll hook you up for your match you're hosting.
All right.
So
we'll do it.
And listen, me and Justin traveled one time to go to a match, and it wasn't because we wanted to go shoot with a bunch of strangers. We went because they was advertising that they had $12,000 worth of door prizes. So we all come home with some pretty nice stuff. So, guys, we ran way over the hour and a half mark. Actually, we're 3 minutes away from the 2 hour mark. So I appreciate everybody watching, everybody interacting in the side chat. I appreciate the panel. Guys, we'll see you next week on Let's Talk Benchrest with Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies with the all new topic. And we look forward to seeing you then. Say good night, everybody.
Good night,
Night all.
everybody.
Night.